Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pope.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things we're talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Pope. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause the times is the man, the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived.
The man, the truth.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived.
The man, the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to the man,
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. We have arrived.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing? We're back at it again. Continuing on. Welcome to the show. All right. Today is the 25th of the month, 25th of August, 2015. Sun sign, Virgo. Virgo's the Hermit. The Hermit's an earth sign. The Hermit is about patience and timing. The color gray is because of the neutrality of the Hermit. The light is the light being held up because the Hermit, through being patient and traveling into the unknown with faith, has found wisdom and is now going to share this wisdom as light with the world. So the Hermit is very important because the Hermit is the one who shares this wisdom, shares this light. But there has to be patience and there has to be timing, and of course there has to be confidence and faith in oneself to be able to do this. So the Hermit is an important card. It's the last of the single numbers before it becomes a double number. The moon sign for today is represented by the tarot card of the Devil. See a character that simply is quality control. That's it. Quality control. See how the product works or doesn't work. See what needs to be reworked. See what is good and can move forward as is. That's the qualities of this character. You could see a character here that's just an illusion. Two people chained in front of the box represent the conscious and the unconscious mind. The illusion of this, the Hebrew letter assigned to it is ayin, which means I. The illusion is that our conscious and unconscious is chained to the illusion of the physical world. Remember the fire, the water, the air? Well, there's the world of the fire, the world of the air, the world of the water, or ideas, emotions, actions. Physical realm is just this. If all you see is the physical world, then you get the illusions and you can get caught up in what's going on. That's what's happening in the world. We're getting caught up in the illusion. But when we read through books, like the book of Revelation, it reminds us that we need to look through the illusion. And the way it reminds us, it tells us not to be deceived. It tells us that there are going to be wars and there is going to be rumors of wars. And it is our job to be able to read between the lines, to be able to understand what is going on. I'm going to talk about the read between the lines a little bit more as we go. But that's the two energies we're dealing with today. Capricorn, earth sign, Virgo, also an earth sign. So we have a double earth day. Double earth day, so a day where things are solid, stable. Now, the aspects that we're dealing with, we had the sun and the moon in trine, good positive energy between them, 2:35 a.m. 4:45 a.m., Jupiter jumped into the mix to expand things out a bit. And in this afternoon, 2:32 p.m., a sextile with Neptune. Neptune is saying we need to take a new perspective on things. So we're going to need to, with Capricorn in a sextile with Neptune, that means the way we operate in the physical world, we're going to need to assess. Now, sextiles say that there's a good positive energy there, so that's a good opportunity for us to assess even better ways to express ourselves physically. And 10:33 p.m., a conjunction between Pluto and the moon. Conjunction is when they're right next to each other and they're talking to each other. So Deep transformation with Pluto comes after expansion, after looking at things from a new perspective, and then finally, wisdom, understanding. Okay? The grid, or the wheel, for those who want to see it. 25th of August translates to 10 Elul on the Jewish calendar, also referred to as the biblical calendar because the dates of the Bible coincide with this Jewish calendar. Daily thought, God's image. We were created in God's image. What is his image? Is it made? Is it the image that triggered the beginning of time? From a point before and beyond all things, God looked upon a moment in time to be, and he saw there a soul, distant from him in a turbulent world, yet learning to return to him and his oneness. And he saw the pleasure that he would have from this union. So he invested his infinite light into the finite image and became one with that image. And in that image, he created each one of us. And for that moment, he saw that the moment was now. The Dreamspell Oracle today is the beginning of a new wave spell. So right here at the top, so remember, wave spell is the beginning of a 30-day period of time. A wave spell is just a pattern in which these 13 days are put together. These 13 days are representing and represented by the 13 columns or the 13 tones of the moon that happen during the course of a year. Instead of 12 months, there are 13 moons, 28 days each. So we're at the beginning of a cycle. Remember, there's cycles within cycles. You start at the top here and you go to the bottom. And when you get to the bottom, you go to the beginning of the next row and you go all the way down. And you keep going and going and going until you get to the end right here. And when you get to this last one, guess what happens? You go back up to the top right here and you start over again. So the cycle doesn't end. It just keeps going and going and going because that's what the universe is doing. We are right here in the cycle. So we're in the 7th column, the 4th row down, the beginning of a new wave spell going right here. And as you could see, these days here are darkened out because these days are galactic activation portal days. There's 10 of them in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Starts 2 days from now. Those are days where the energy is kind of doubled up on itself. So the kin for today, the kin is the way we call the day. The day kin is the yellow seed. Yellow is the color of ripening. So when you see yellow, just know ripening. So this is ripening. Seed is all about planting and flowering. So the ripening of the seed that we planted. The hidden power is the earth, our ability to navigate and be in tune with the synchronicity of things. Our challenge for today is timelessness, not getting caught up in time, but understanding how everything is timeless and that this moment is just a fleeting moment in a bigger picture. The like-minded energy is our vision today. So we have the eagle, and our guide is the seed. So that which we are focusing on is doubled because it is our vision, our guide, in addition to where we are putting our attention as well. And the one tones are always called the magnetic tones. So today would be a yellow magnetic seed, or a ripe, attracting idea. Okay, we plant seeds, seeds grow. There are ideas that grow. So the phrase is, I unify, coming from the one. I unify in order to target attracting awareness. I seal the input of flowering. Flowering comes from the seed. I seal the input of flowering with the magnetic tone of purpose. So we know the first tone is called the magnetic tone of purpose. And because there's the guide and the kin the same, I'm guided by my own power doubled. Okay? That's how you read that there. The moon phase, 78% of the way full, making its way up to the full moon. Space weather, solar wind 367.3 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is quiet between a 2 and a 3. Coronal holes right here. Some nice big cracks, it looks like, and it tells us that we're going to be feeling the effect of that on the 25th. And yes, today is 25th, so we shall be feeling something from this. M-class flare possibilities at 60%. X-class is at 10. Geomagnetic storm activities 25 in the mid-latitudes. Increasing, it looks like, well, 30 in the high latitudes as well. So we'll just leave it at there. And up in the sky tonight, here we are right here. At nightfall, the waxing gibbous moon shines above the tilting Sagittarius teapot. The teapot pattern is about as big as your fist at arm's length with its spout to the right. Okay, so it tells us that the moon is above the teapot. So when you look at the moon tonight and you look below it, there's the teapot, Sagittarius. Okay, there's the handle, there's the lid, right there is the spout. All right, there you go. That's the energy we're dealing with today. So as you go out into the world, just be aware that's what we're having to deal with and plan accordingly what you're going to do. All right. All right. UFO news is up. Let's do it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right. Dirk Bradshaw. Thank you very much for that intro. UFO news stories. First one. Skywatcher, who filmed the UFOs, says he was quizzed by the men in black. MIB paid a visit to this guy in Australia who's seeing UFOs over his neighborhoods and even recorded lots of them and lots of visits by black helicopters. So it says there is an intriguing story in the documentary from Clama told by Liam Feeney. He is a builder married with 2 kids and is a pretty regular kind of guy who 2 years ago had no particular interest in UFOs or staring up at the heavens. But March 2013, he and a workmate saw in the daylight bright stars gathering around a ball of white light which disappeared and reappeared before being approached by what he describes as a F-18 Super Hornet. Then everything vanished. A few moments later, he started seeing objects regularly and brought a video camera to film them. But then things, he says, took a slightly sinister turn. Helicopters started hovering low over his house. I would see and film an object, and directly afterwards I would get home and a helicopter would show up and sit over the house. So I started filming the helicopters as well as the unidentified flying objects. It happened over and over again, 20, 30 times at least. When they hover at the height of the lamppost above your house and lean out of the windows, it's definitely not military training. These things will go invisible in front of you, then reappear, then shoot across the sky in a pinprick, and then straight back at incredible speed. Maybe I have filmed something I shouldn't have. That's a possibility. He got in touch with the Damien Knott and Maria Flynn, president of UFO Research NSW. She said that they had reports of black helicopters flying over numerous homes. There have been reports of people leaning out of the helicopter with a camera and filming. Ms. Freeney said last year going to give a talk about the experience of her UFO group. The event had been publicized on the internet. It was 2 weeks before the talk, and it was near the home when he noticed a car behind him. It had flashing lights. Inside the front grille was a black car. I stopped. 2 guys got out of the black Holden Statesman with Kariba plate. One approached the window. He said, "Good day, Liam. How are you?" I said, "This is really strange." He said, "Yep, but you know what it is about? We'd like it if you didn't do your talk. They said it would be better for me to keep my mouth shut and have a good day," and then left. He decided it might be wise not to give the talk. Now he changed his mind. I am well aware of the situation I am putting myself in. The purpose of this whole 2.5 years of contact has happened to me I believe, is for me to pass on the message that is happening and this is real. The only thing I've got out of this to tell people is what I am seeing. Okay? Shape-changing UFO over Melbourne, Australia. This goes back to July. This is the image that was there. Is this real? Is this not? You know, I show you these things because it's important that we take a good look at them. I'm very aware that in this day and age, the technology exists to fake any of these shots. Very aware of it. I'm very aware that there are lens flares that people pick up and record and talk about them as UFOs. I'm very aware of all of the anomalies that's out there. My objective, though, is to show you all of these different things so that you're able to look at them and decipher for yourself as well. It's not just about me telling you how to think. It's about me showing you and then you looking and thinking for yourselves in that regard in the same way that I am. And if we do this, we check each other because that's what we need to do. We need to think for ourselves. You know, if I ever have a situation with the Men in Black, or if you ever have a situation in the Men in Black, one thing I hope that during that situation is there can be some sort of an awareness to be able to have a conversation with them, because every time you hear about it, there always is some fear attached. And I'd like to know what it would be like if there wasn't that fear attached to the situation and if the person tried to have a bit more of a conversation to understand things. Maybe they have and I just haven't seen that. If so, let me know. I'd like to know that. But I think that there's a lot of things that we could know. And you know, one thing I've noticed throughout life, when people stand up for themselves, when they ask questions, and when they want to know things, they find the answers. When people allow themselves to get pushed around, they just keep getting pushed around because those who do the pushing know that the other person isn't going to stop them, so they keep pushing. And sometimes all it takes is brave people standing up and stop being pushed, and we can, you know. Same thing with the extraterrestrials. They're just beings, and doesn't matter what their technology is, they're just beings like us. Some of us are not from here, just like they're not from here. Some of us are from here. There's a whole variety of things, but we just need to use our discretion when we're looking at all of these things. What's real, what's not? How do we tell the difference? So here's this sighting here. It said Australia is a hot location and aliens love the hot spots. These glowing UFOs are shape changers, but they are seen in many locations around the world, often mistaken for stars. But they look larger. Summer is a big time for them to appear. They seem like the warm weather. I will try to do more above. Okay, so here's a 4-minute video talking about this, showing the object. Okay, so take a look at it. See what you think. Here we have orb over Sydney, August 22nd. Bright orb hovering above Sydney, the state capital of New South Wales and the most populous city in Australia and Oceania. This was recorded Sunday the 22nd. All right. There's our orb right there. Okay, very good. Very good. All right, next sighting. Oklahoma City goes back to the beginning of the month. Daytime UFO sighting over Oklahoma City. August 5th. The witness statement. I was driving home from work, Highway 169 northbound. I noticed it slowly descending in the western sky during sunset. It was falling slowly enough to catch my attention. I pulled my phone, took a photo, then started recording. I recorded it for over 2 minutes. It's right here. You can see it. Over 2 minutes. When I got home, I showed it to my wife. She could not identify it. I posted it the next day on Facebook. It attracted lots of attention. Multiple people I recommended I report it to the site. It may be simply a passing comment. However, its glow never dissipated and did not give off a trail behind it. And one last sighting An old sighting, 50 years old, UFO sighting and landing, still a mystery after 50 years. Cherry Creek, New York. What really happened near Cherry Creek in Chautauqua County 50 years ago? Did several teenagers really see a UFO, or did their imaginations run wild? It's a case that caught the attention of the New York State Police and the U.S. Air Force when the sightings allegedly happened August 19th, 1965. The first sighting occurred around 8:20 in the evening. 16-year-old Harold Butcher was milking cows in the barn in Aldrich Hill Road when he claims to have seen a shiny silver-shaped object. Butcher said he's now 64-year-old. He knows that some people will always be skeptical no matter what. It's their choice not to believe. All I know is what I saw. I won't lie to you about it. I don't believe in lying. All right, so there you go. UFO news, lots of good stuff. I'm going to jump away. I'll be back. Stay tuned. The song is called Wake Up.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're illusion from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, big brothers watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land and two if I see? And I and the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right. That song's called Wake Up. Now, some of you have asked about some of the songs you hear on the show because you've recognized that the voice you hear on those songs is the same voice you're hearing coming out of me. That is because that and number of those songs are me, whether it was with the solo band, solo project, or with the band UFOetry. That is the music, so I like to play it on the show. I'm partial to my band. All right. So the reason that I played that song, Wake Up, is because it's an important message we all need to really get on board with. I'm not the only one saying wake up. You've probably told your friends many times wake up, and you probably are still talking to friends and family members telling them to wake up. And we'll continue to do it until people wake up. But it's very important that we really are aware of what is going on in the world these days, and the only way is if we pay attention. You know, General Major Stubblebine, I've talked about him on the show before. He's a gentleman. He was a 32-year member, active duty member of the United States military. He was head of U.S. Army intelligence. He was commanding general of them. And he is credited with redesigning the architecture of the intelligence program. So Major Stubblebine talks about intelligence in this way. He says all information is a dot, one dot. And every day there's lots of information put into the world, lots of dots. And what the intelligence analyst does, and this is what he designed and program that he was credited with designing, what the intelligence expert does is connects the dots from one event to the next. And they connect the dots that most other people aren't seeing. So what they see is a picture underneath what is going on. Each and every one of us have the ability to do that, to connect the dots. But we turn on the television and we see the mainstream news, and what they do is they try to keep us from connecting the dots by telling us other bits of information that just distracts us from what's really going on. So if we learn to connect the dots, if we learn to see what's going on, then we don't get so caught up in the illusion of this world and think that we're missing out on something. So here's the case in point. We have a lot of events going on in the world that seem kind of scary. And what it seems is that humans are really backing down and have become very wimpy, at least in America, very wimpy, and have stopped standing up for each other in some ways. And it's worrisome. But what we need during this time are heroes. And if we look closely, we could see that there's plenty of heroes in the world. And if we understand what we are seeing, we understand that there is a movement taking place. Yesterday, there was on the news 2 different stories where bystanders stepped up as heroes to stop events from happening. We heard about in the train these 3 gentlemen. There was another gentleman in another story who stopped somebody. These are important points. These are some of the dots that we need to connect, because what we see by connecting these dots is that Americans are getting brave again. One is getting brave, and then another group. And Americans are starting to get brave, and that's very important, because once we get brave, we stop buying into all the lies. We stop getting caught up in the bullying. We don't get walked upon. So we need to look at these times and these moments of bravery, and we need to see that these are moments that are occurring now more and more. There's a YouTube video going on of a woman who was by the subway train. And during the course of the time waiting for the subway train to get there, this woman climbed down onto the tracks, apparently trying to commit suicide. 2 brave men jumped down there and assisted this woman out. Were able to talk her out of the situation and get her off of the tracks before the train arrived. Okay? That's an act of bravery. Whenever an American, whenever a human steps up to help another human, that's an act of bravery. When we stand up to the evil, the darkness, the oppressive bully, that's an act of bravery. We need to applaud those acts of bravery, and we need to continue to sniff them out, see where they are, because that's a good sign, my friends. It's a good sign to see bravery. So let's all be brave, okay? Now, where does this bravery start? It starts here. Starts with understanding that we have the power to do what we need to do, to create, to live, to be. We live in the world, and we have media and propaganda and information blazing at us every single day. And it tries to discourage us from connecting with the true self that we are. It tries to discourage us from stepping out to be courageous. So we just need to do that in spite of that. We need to be strong. Star Wars, if we were going to take any clue from this movie, it would be the idea of the Force. The Force that exists all around us, within us. Very much describing in the way the Krybalion is talking about this mind that we live within. So if everything's a mind, then we have the power to make an effect within that mind. And what happens on a regular basis, and we see it every day, is people give up their power. They give up their power to symbols, to companies, to ideas, to all sorts of things they don't need to give their power up to. One of the biggest things I hear all the time around astrology and Kabbalah and Mayan calendar is people, oh, they're going to give up their power. Looking at that will really be bad. How? Why? Why would you possibly give your power up to a report of the weather? Why would you possibly do that? You don't do it on a daily basis. You look at the weather report and you say, oh, look, it's going to rain today. Let's wear a raincoat, or let's take an umbrella. Oh, look, it's going to be cold out. Let's make sure we take our coat. That's all it is. We don't give our power up to it. We use the information, and that's what's going on. There's a lot of information in the world from a lot of sources. All we need to do is get the information without giving up our power. Giving up power, that's not where it's at. So, what we learn through these Hermetic principles is to use the power. Understand the power. So, a quick refresher before we jump into the next chapter, chapter 7. Principle of mentalism, which we're dealing with now, the principle of correspondence, the principle of vibration, the principle of polarity, principle of rhythm, principle of cause and effect, and the principle of gender. Let's continue on with chapter 7 as it talks about the principle of mentalism even more. Well, all is in the all. It is equally true that all is in all. To him who truly understands this hath come great knowledge. How often have the majority of people heard the repeated the statement that their deity, called by many names, was all in all, and how little they have suspected the inner occult truth concealed by these carelessly uttered words. The commonly used expression is a survival of the ancient Hermetic maximum quoted above. As the Krybalion says, to him who truly understands this truth hath come great knowledge. And this being so, let us speak this truth, the understanding of which means so much. In this statement of truth, this Hermetic maxim is concealed one of the greatest philosophical, scientific, and religious truths. We have given you the Hermetic teaching regarding the mental nature of the universe, the truth that the universe is mental, held in the mind of the all. As the Krybalion says in the passage quoted above, all is in the all. But note that the correlated statement that is equally true is that the all is in all. This apparently contradictory statement is reconcilable under the law of paradox. It is, moreover, an exact Hermetic statement of the relations existing between the all and its mental universe. We have seen how all is in the all. Now let us examine the other aspect of the subject. The Hermetic teachings are to the effect that all is immanent in its universe and every particle, unit, or combination within the universe. This statement is usually illustrated by the teachers by a reference of the principle of correspondence. The teacher instructs the student to form a mental image of something, a person, an idea, something having a mental form. The favorite example being that of the author or dramatist forming an idea of his characters, or of a painter or sculptor forming an image of an ideal that he wishes to express by his art. In each case, the student will find that while the image has his existence, and being solely within his own mind, yet he, the student, author, dramatist, painter, or sculptor, is in a sense immanent in, remaining within, or abiding within the mental image also. In other words, the entire virtue, life, spirit, and reality of the mental image is derived from the immanent mind of the thinker. Consider this for a moment until the idea is grasped. The entire virtue, life, spirit of reality in the mental image is derived from the immanent mind of the thinker. To take a modern example, let's say that Othello, Iago, Hamlet, Lear, Richard III existed merely in the mind of Shakespeare at the time of their conception or creation. And yet Shakespeare also existed within each of these characters. giving them their vitality, spirit, and action. Who is the spirit of the characters that we know as Macabre, Oliver Twist, Uriah Heep? Is it Dickens? Or have each of these characters a personal spirit independent of their creator? Have the Venus of Medici, the Sistine Madonna, the Apollo Belvedere spirits and reality of their own, or do they represent the spiritual and mental power of their creators? The law of paradox explains that both propositions are true, viewed from the proper viewpoints. Macabre is both Macabre and yet Dickens. And again, while Macabre may be said to be Dickens, yet Dickens is not identical with Macabre. Man, like Macabre, may exclaim, "The spirit of my creator is inherent within me, and yet I am not he." How different from this the shocking half-truth so ferociously announced by certain of the half-wise who fill the air with their raucous cries, "I am God." Imagine poor Macabre or the sneaky Uriah Heep crying, "I am Dickens," or some of the lowly clods in the Shakespeare's play grandiloquently announcing that "I am Shakespeare." The all is in the earthworm, and yet the earthworm is far from being the all. And still wonder remains that though the earthworm exists merely as a lowly thing created and having its being solely within the mind of the all, yet the all is immanent in the earthworm and in the particles that go to make up the earthworm. Can there be any greater mystery than this, of all in the all, and the all in all? The student will, of course, realize that the illustrations given above are necessarily imperfect and inadequate, for they represent the creation of mental images in finite minds, while the universe is a creation of infinite mind, and the difference between the two poles separates them. And yet it is merely a matter of degree. The same principle is in operation. The principle of correspondence manifest in each, as above so below, as below so above. And in the degree the man realizes the existence of the indwelling spirit immanent within his being, so will he rise to the spiritual scale of life. This is what spiritual development means: the recognition, realization, and manifestation of the spirit within us. To try to remember this last definition, that of the spiritual development, it contains the truth of true religion. Again, in the degree that man realizes the existence of the indwelling spirit immanent within his being, so will he rise to the spiritual scale of life. So in other words, the bigger you realize your existence is, the bigger your life is going to be. And the whole understanding of this bigness comes from understanding the bigness of the spirit that exists within us. There are many planes of being, many subplanes of life, many degrees of existence in the universe, and all depend on the advancement of beings on the scale, of which scale the lowest part is the grossest matter, the highest being separated only by the thinnest division from spirit of the all. And upward and onward along the scale of life, everything is moving. All are on the path whose end is the all. All progress is a returning home. All is upward and onward in spite of all seemingly contradictory appearances. Such is the message of the illumined. The Hermetic teachings concerning the process of the mental creation of the universe are that at the beginning of the creative cycle, the all in its aspect of being projects its will towards its aspect of becoming, and the process of creation begins. It is taught that the process consists of lowering a vibration until a very low degree of vibratory energy is reached, at which point the grossest possible form of matter is manifest. This process is called the stage of involution, in which the all becomes involved or wrapped up in its creation. This process is believed by the Hermeticists to have correspondence to the mental process of an artist, writer, or inventor who becomes so wrapped up in his mental creation as to almost forget his own existence, and who, for the time being, almost lives in his creation. If instead of wrapped we use the word wrapped, perhaps we will give a better idea of what is meant. This involuntary stage of creation is sometimes called the outpouring of the divine energy, just as the evolutionary state is called the indrawing. The extreme pole of the creative process is considered to be the furthest removed from the all, while the beginning of the evolutionary stage is regarded as the beginning of the return swing of the pendulum of rhythm, a coming home idea being held in all of the Hermetic teachings. The teachings are that during the outpouring, the vibrations become lower and lower until finally the urge ceases and the return swing begins. But there is a difference that while in the outpouring the creative forces manifest compactly and as a whole, yet from the beginning of the evolutionary or the indrawing stage there is manifested the law of individualization. That is, the tendency to separate into units of force, so that finally that which left the all as unindividualized energy returns to its source as countless highly developed units of life, having risen higher in the scale by means of physical, mental, and spiritual evolution. The ancient Hermeticists used the word meditation in describing all of the process of the mental creation of the universe in the mind of the all, the word contemplation also being frequently employed, but the idea intended seems to be that of the employment of the divine attention. Attention is a word derived from the Latin root meaning to reach out, to stretch out, and so the act of attention is really a mental reaching out, extension of mental energy so that the underlying idea is readily understood when we examine into the real meaning of attention. So here, reach out, stretch out. Remember in Star Wars? Reach out with your feelings, stretch out with your feelings, Luke. Remember? Okay? The ideas are in there. Same idea. All Hermetic teachings regarding the process of evolution are not the all, are that. The all having meditated upon the beginning of creation, having thus established the mental foundation of the universe, having thought it into existence, then gradually awakens or rouses from the meditation, and in doing so starts into manifestation the process of evolution on the material, mental, and spiritual planes, successively and in order. Thus the upward movement begins, and all begins to move spiritward. Matter becomes less gross, the units spring into being, the combinations begin to form, life appears and manifests in higher and higher forms, and mind becomes more and more in evidence, the vibrations constantly becoming higher. In short, the entire process of evolution in all of its phases begins and proceeds according to the established laws of the indrawing process. All of this occupies aeons upon aeons of man's time, each aeon containing countless millions of years. But yet the illumined inform us that the entire creation, including involution and evolution of a universe, is but as the twinkle of an eye to the all. At the end of the countless cycles of the aeons of time, the all withdraws its attention, its contemplation and meditation of the universe, for the great work is finished, and all is withdrawn into the all from which it emerged. But mystery of mysteries, the spirit of each soul is not annihilated, but is infinitely expanded and created. The creator and the creator are emerged, such is the report of the illumined. The above illustration of the mediation and the subsequent awakening from meditation of the all is, of course, but an attempt of the teachers to describe the infinite process by a finite example. And yet, as below, so above, the difference is merely in degrees. And just as the all arouses itself from the meditation upon the universe, so does man, in time, cease from manifesting upon the material plane, which withdraws himself more and more into the indwelling spirit, which is indeed the divine ego. There is one more matter of which we desire to speak in this lesson, and that comes very near to the invasion of the metaphysical field of speculation. Although our purpose is merely to show the futility of such speculation, we allude to the question which inevitably comes to the mind of the thinkers who have ventured to seek the truth. The question is, why does the all create universes? The question may be asked in different forms, but the above is the gist of the inquiry. Men have striven hard to answer this question, but still there are no answer worthy of the name. Some have imagined that the all had something to gain by it, but this is absurd, for what could the all gain that it didn't already possess? Others have sought the answer in the idea that the all wished something to love, and others that it created for pleasure or amusement, or because it was lonely, or to manifest its power, or puerile explanations and ideas belonging to the childish period of thought. Others have sought to explain the mystery by assuming that the all found itself compelled to create by reason of its own internal nature, its creative instinct. This idea is in advance of the others, but its weak point lies in the idea that the all being compelled by anything, internal or external. If its internal nature or creative instinct compelled it to do anything, then the inner nature or creative instinct would be the absolute instead of the all, and so accordingly that part of the proposition fails. And yet the all does create and manifest, and seems to manifest some kind of satisfaction in doing so. and it is difficult to escape the conclusion that in some infinite degree it must have what would correspond to an inner nature or creative instinct in man, with corresponding infinite desire and will. It could not act unless it willed to act, and it would not will to act unless it desired to act, and it would not desire to act unless it obtained some satisfaction thereby. And all of these things would belong to an inner nature and might be postulated as existing according to the law of correspondence. But still we prefer to think of the all as acting entirely free from any influence, internal as well as external. This is the problem which lies at the root of difficulty, and the difficulty that lies at the root of the problem. Strictly speaking, there cannot be said any reason whatsoever for the all to act, for a reason implies a cause, and the all is above cause and effect, except when it wills to become the cause, at which time the principle is set into motion. So you see, the matter is unthinkable, just as the all is unknowable. Just as we say the all merely is, so we are compelled to say that the all acts because it acts. And the last, the all is the reason in itself, all law in itself, all action in itself, and it may be said truthfully that the all, in its own reason, its act, is law, are one, all being names for the same thing. And the opinion of those who are giving you the present lessons, the answer is locked up in the inner self of the all, along with the secret of being. The law of correspondence, in our opinion, reaches only to the aspect of the all which may be spoken of as the aspect of becoming. Back of the aspect is the aspect of being, which is, and all laws are lost in law. All principles merge into principle, and the all, principle, and being are identical, one and the same. Therefore, metaphysical speculation on this point is futile. We go into the matter here merely to show that we recognize the question and also the absurdity of ordinary answers of metaphysics and theology. In conclusion, it may be of interest to our students to learn that while some of the ancient and modern Hermetic teachers have rather inclined in the direction of applying the principle of correspondence to the question with the results of the inner nature conclusion, still the legends have it that Hermes the Great, when asked his question by his advanced students, answered them by pressing his lips tightly together and saying not a word, indicating that there was no answer. But then he may have intended to apply the axiom of his philosophy that the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding, believing that even his advanced students did not possess the understanding which entitled them to the teaching. At any rate, if Hermes possessed the secret, he failed to impart it, and so as the world is concerned, the lips of Hermes are closed regarding it. And where the great Hermes hesitated to speak, what mortal may dare to teach? But remember that whenever may be the answer to this problem, if indeed there be an answer, the truth remains that, while all is in the all, it is equally true that the all is in all. The teaching on this point is emphatic, and we may add the concluding words of the quotation: "To him who truly understands this hath come great knowledge." Okay, so the all is in the all, and is equally true that the all is in all. So that's our lesson for today. It's chapter 7 of the Krybalion. The PDF's available at the link firstcontactradio.com. Download it, reread it if you need to. I certainly have reread through this book many, many times, and I would like to encourage you to do the same thing, because this wisdom, you always learn more. And you'll read it again, and you'll find that you've learned something more that you didn't see the last time. And then you'll do it again, and the same thing happens. It's pretty awesome. I'm sure you've experienced that. So I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Here's an article at Infide called "How to Tap into Your Spiritual Genius." This is by Greg Prescott. The greater your connection to the divine source, the more you are visited by celestial workers who come to work on your physical and subtle bodies in order to purify you, bring your light and strength and your will. What is a genius? It is a collective being who is inhabited by a multitude of workers and is constantly qualified to do work of a higher order. If there is one thing that you must fear above all else, it is the offending the workers of heaven, for they will begin to abandon this dwelling that you have provided for them. As a result, it will begin to collapse and its worth will decline. It is up to you whether these celestial workers remain in your dwelling or others come to take up residence. When you begin tonight with your supreme power, when you place God above all else, you will attract these celestial workers and become master of yourself. strong, wise, full of love. You will receive treasures and you will radiate in cosmic space all the way to the stars. So here's different ways. I'm just going to read down the list here. Always be open for the possibility to exist. Ask the universe for help and guidance, and most importantly, listen. Meditate and clear your chakras. Think outside the box. Dare to be different. Okay. Last paragraph. The universe is listening to you. Once you open yourself up to the universe will always respond. Sometimes this response seems negative, but trust the fact that it will always be leading you in the right direction. What may now seem like stumbling blocks will soon be looked at as a grateful opportunity to either overcome that particular obstacle or to release it with love. All right? Good article. Very good article. And now we're going to go and we're going to listen to a channeled message here. This one comes to us from Karen. Well, Karen Doonan is the channel, and this is God. Here we go.
Beloved ones, we are the energies that are referenced to you as God, and we come to guide and to support, as the energies once more begin to heighten and expand and you once more become closer to who you are in truth. The peeling back of the layers of the veils that have been placed upon your human eyes is fully underway, and we guide that truth just is, and that all are fully supported on all levels of existence at this time. It is necessary to reveal all that has pulled you out of balance and all that has sought to keep you tightly bound, in order that you may reveal the strength that you are in truth, for those who are bound can only ever regain their power by first of all seeing the bonds and the chains. To walk in freedom of truth is to walk unbound, unchained, and in full comprehension of that which exists around the human race at this time, upon the dimensional space that you have been taught is called planet Earth. Those constructs which have bound God's children are now dissolving, and with the dissolving comes the opportunity to walk with God in truth. To remain inside of the bonds believing that another has power over you is not truth and is not supported on any level of your existence, and we ask for you to understand that all is not as it appears to your naked human eyes at this time. Those who walk in service to God will illuminate, for not all who claim service to God, walk with God, as the construct that is dissolving sought to place power where there was none and to recalibrate the entire human life experience. This is not truth and is not supported, for this is the evolution of God's children in truth, and God walks with his children, out of the darkness and fully into the light of truth. We are the energies that are referenced to you as God, and we will make our presence known fully as the human race now stand poised on the ledge, ready to move to the new earth in truth, walking out of slavery and into the promised land. God never forgets and holds to his promise of freedom and everlasting life in truth.
All right. Very nice message. One thing that I always like is the synchronicities, because when I choose the topics for the show, I don't feel like I choose them. I feel like I'm guided to what it is that I need to talk about. And when I pick up the different stories, I'm always amazed at how from article to something else, the common theme is there. You hear the same message. So it just is an indication to me that a lot of different paths, or there's a lot of the same direction being given through a lot of different articles and thought that's out there in the world. And when we really pay attention to it, we gather together, we magnetize it, and that's what we're doing. We're magnetizing this experience. I mean, I'm here at this moment, you're here. We're both here, part of this experience together for some reason, to learn something, to be here. But in this great grand universe, the fact that we've ended up here, is purposeful. So when we learn from it, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. All right, this is the Warrior of the Light for today. It's page 92. I repeat, you can recognize a Warrior of the Light by the look in his eye. Warriors of light are in the world. They form part of the world, and they were sent into the world without saddlebags or sandals. They are often cowardly. They do not always act correctly. Warriors of light are wounded by the most foolish things. They worry about trivialities. They believe themselves incapable of growing. Warriors of light sometimes believe themselves unworthy of any blessing or miracle. Warriors of light often ask themselves what they are doing here. Often they find life meaningless. That is why they are warriors of the light, because they fail, because they ask questions, because they keep looking for meaning. In the end, they will find it. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath and exhale. Take another deep breath and exhale again. And another breath and exhale. And just keep breathing in and out, nice and slowly. Find a nice, good rhythm of your breath. And as you breathe in and exhale out, feel your connection to the all. Feel the all that exists within you, that is you. And then feel the part of you that is part of the all. And in this we recognize that on one hand we are like the drop in the ocean, and on the other hand we are part of the whole ocean itself. Many drops within this ocean, just as there are many beings upon this world. And we tune our attention to understanding the higher nature of who and what we're about. And as we do so, we understand that our purpose and job is to look past the illusions of the world around us, so that we might move clearly in an effective manner. That we be open to all of the experiences that life has to offer, that we might be able to use our sense of discernment to understand what we should and should not be doing, because we understand that which helps us to be more effective or less effective. So we move through the world understanding the connection to the all, and just contemplate how everything is connected each and every day, and how the moments and the experiences we have every day are those which are required to teach us, because those are experiences we've attracted to ourselves for that very purpose. And so we focus on connecting the dots. Connecting the dots so as we move through this maze, this puzzle of life, we're able to connect them to see what is truly going on. To see past the illusion, to understand the reality. The reality of the all. The all that ever was, ever will be, and is now. So let our mind continue on this journey. The subconscious mind just experiencing the all as we go through the day. Experiencing our connection to the all. And let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Go ahead and take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's our show for today. Go back and look at some of this info. Reread through the Krybalion. It's a lot of information there. It's a lot to grasp. Just keep in mind what I was telling you about intelligence. It's very, very important. You know, one thing I did mention with his General Major Stubblemind and what he was doing with the psychic warfare and everything. You ever see the movie Men and Goats? That's all about what he was working with. trying to move forward and advance the intelligence, using the mind to tap into other realms. We need to connect the dots, my friends. We need to be smarter in life. And the only way we're going to do that is if we are able to connect the dots to see past the illusion into what is really going on. You can do it. I know you can. That's what we're all here together to remind each other about that. So you remind me, I'll remind you, we'll remind each other, and we'll remind others, and we'll just keep doing that, because that's what it's all about, helping each other so we can each improve individually and therefore improve collectively. All right, I'll be back tomorrow. Have an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.